This is Roger Struckoff with Syscon TV. We're at Cloud Expo East in New York in the year 2014. Hard to believe sometimes. Joined by Ed Samson with Basic6. I think you had a pretty good show. Let's talk a little bit about what you did here, what you showed, and what people had to say. And welcome, by the way.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here. So Basic6 is an infrastructure management tool that in its original form was focused on data center management, leveraging some Windows resources for managing Linux, Unix. We evolved, and what we were showing today is part of that evolution, actually much of the evolution on the server side, but also on the device side. And when I say devices, I'm speaking about microcontrollers and what's possible with what is now referred to as the Internet of Things. So our tool can bring together multiple environments for a IT manager, meaning data center, Linux, Unix, Mac, Windows, and cloud. So a user with our tool can manage across their data center environment, their vSphere environment via the APIs from vSphere, as well as Amazon Web Services. So you've got this true hybrid solution in the form of our data center management tool. In the last 6 months, part of our evolution, and one of the things we were demonstrating over the last 3 days, is our ability to manage devices. So we had two examples, a Raspberry Pi, which is a UK company that makes a microcontroller that we had configured as an iBeacon that can message. We also had two Arduinos, which is an Italian manufacturer. It's another board. It's actually a very sophisticated board. The Arduino Yun has two chips, a processor and a microcontroller. On those devices, they have Wi-Fi. They have a Linux operating system, and you can attach sensors to them. Yes. And what Basic6 can do is manage those devices remotely. Because they're Wi-Fi enabled, it allows us to connect to them. Our tools do, and reboot them, start them, stop them, and reprogram them. So from a scalability standpoint, one of the things that's kind of holding back mass deployment of these devices is the ability to connect to all of them at once, right, to group them into folders, and then be able to report on their health.
Well, now, this is the Internet of Things. This is actually the first time we've addressed the issue explicitly at the event. Seems like a good time. What you're describing, sounds awesome. How, what's going to happen in the next couple of years? It's like you're on the cusp of exponential growth with this. Were there limiting factors in the past you're saying that are now going away, or why is there such a sudden surge in interest in Internet of Things? Because people have been talking about it for a while, but now it seems like the time is right. Yeah,
well, you're right on in terms of the visibility for IoT, Internet of Things right now, and why. I think the reason why is because the boards are getting smarter. Okay, and the Arduino Yun is a great example of what's possible with these boards. As I mentioned, if you think about it, the board's the size of a deck of cards, and it has these two chips on it, including Wi-Fi. So you could take that device, put it in a remote location, power it, and as long as you can connect to it, and it will because it's got its Wi-Fi capability, and we can connect to it because it's on the Wi-Fi network, you can start to scale the deployment of those things. And what's happened in the past, these controllers have been around for many years. They're in our cars, they're in airplanes, but most of the controllers in the world right now don't have that ability to communicate back out or communicate to them directly, reprogramming them and measuring what's actually happening on them. And with the new chips that are being shipped on the boards, you're able to do that. And what our software and what we've been focusing on is being able to do that on a scaled level.
Did I hear legacy technology in there? You didn't say those words, but it sounds like you're talking about a lot of different platforms and architectures and maybe legacy as well, while trying to move forward with IoT projects.
Well, yes. Our legacy is certainly on the server management side, but when we partnered with a company, in actually New York City software company called Tembu, and what Tembu does is customize APIs around or for developers, where developers can use Tembu code and connect their application to other apps. So if you had an application you were building, you needed it to connect to Facebook, you'd use a Tembu API. Tembu's been working with Arduino, and the reason that we started our efforts around Arduino is in part because of our relationship with Tembu, and we've combined the resources of these three entities where Arduino obviously makes the hardware. Tembu's got a piece of the code and software, and the missing link is Basic6, which is being able to get to the device and push that new code program to the device. And that's what we've been, I think that will be our legacy going forward.
Well, yeah, and just going forward a little bit, we don't like to look in the future too much because it turns into kind of speculation. But 6 months to a year, where are you going?
Where we're going is commercial deployment of boards, of devices, and our ability to manage multiple devices across multiple environments. And so that is our focus at the moment. Our server management tool is shippable right now. It's actually downloadable from our website. So it's actually in a commercial form as we speak. The device side will be there in the next 3 months. We'll actually have a beta in the market in July on the device management side, which will be able, initially focusing on having an agent on the Arduino.
Okay. The time is nigh, the time is right, the time is here. How do they find you, Basic6?
So our website, basic6.com, BASIC.com. I'm sorry. BASIC number 6.com. So hopefully we can edit that.
Just like it sounds, Basic6.
Basic6.com.
We spent a few minutes here
There's
talking
a story
about
behind the name, actually.
Well, let's hear the story.
Yeah, it's actually a good one. So I'm a pilot, and pilots have 6 core instruments that they need to fly in the clouds without any outside references.
Wow.
And so they are affectionately referred to as the Basic6.
Flying through the clouds, what is that? Instrument flight rules? IFR for the IoT.
That's right.
IFR for the IoT. So I said it twice without making a mistake. But more important, you want to look for basic6.com. We've been talking IoT. We're going to be talking more IoT in the future. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
For you out there watching this, thanks. For Syscon TV, this is Roger Struckoff.